Now I'm going to take you a tour of my Classroom Google website. One of my favorite things about using the Google Sites is that since it's available on the web, your students can access it based on just a single link. Now, because my students access this so many times, it actually ranks at the top of Google when you type Potter speech class. And this adds to the accessibility of the site. I actually have two sites linked through here, so I'm going to pick my speech class website. Okay, this is the home of my online class. On the very first page, I have a calendar, and this calendar is linked right to the Google Calendar in my email. So I can manage this calendar from my cell phone. I can manage this calendar from anywhere that I have access to the internet, and my students can add this calendar to their Google Calendar. Our school uses Google Apps as part of our learning management and student resources, so they could add, so everyone has access to a Google Calendar. So I clicked back, and I'm going to show you December because this is the last time my class was in session. The February calendar was pretty vacant, but as you can see, all of the information is listed on this page. And if you click on the individual events, it takes you to more details about that event. This is also very image driven. It's for people who really like visual information, or you can click to the agenda view where it will line up all of the resources for you. And that way you have everything lined up. You can go to the week or you can go to the month view, just like it would be in any other Google Calendar. This looks empty right now because it's changed back to the spring semester and there isn't anything in class right now. Okay, let's look at this section below on this page. Now, when you first click to the home page, all you see is the calendar, but when you scroll down, you can look at homework assignments. I actually set this up. This is a posts page. If you look at Google Sites, you have several web page templates, and these posts actually automatically create an RSS feed, and it also you can add in a widget so that you can get email updates anytime a post is made. So I created a post page entitled it Homework Assignments, and let's click on the top one. This one's kind of empty. Let's go back. Okay, PowerPoint project. This is all of the information that my students need for this whole project. It has a timeline in it, which I also included on the calendar. So I put this in several different places for different people who like different things. Also with this page, they can just print it out and they have everything with them because that's something I like to do. I like to print things out so I can highlight them and mark things off as I'm done. And also all of the information that they need and all of the papers that they need are attached at the bottom of this project. So this is what the homework posts look like. This is something that is replicated in the learning management system that we use, but it looks very different. Now let's look at how these features directly compare to the learning management system provided by my school. I want to pause for a second and say that this is not necessarily a criticism of the system that my school chose or my school's decision overall, but rather just a comparison of why I chose to continue using the Google site and some things that you might want to take into consideration when you decide what is right for you in your classroom. The most obvious difference between the LMS and Google Sites is that you have to sign in to access the learning management system. This is a powerful feature that allows more content to be accessible than could be openly displayed on the web. However, you have to consider if all of the information needs to be password protected, because this makes the process of accessing the information a lot longer. Also, you have to consider whether all of the pages to actually getting into the LMS are optimized for different platforms. Specifically, this password login page is not optimized for mobile viewing, and therefore it's really difficult to actually get into the LMS from a smartphone. Even though the LMS itself is optimized, the login page is not. It is also the sensitive information that required me to create this part of the tour using still images edited to remove personal information rather than being able to give you a video tour. I don't know if that's necessarily a good or a bad thing, I just think it's something to note. Now I'm going to take the short route and just show you the calendar, but I'll also tell you that it's definitely not on the first page, just like it was on my Google site. This image you see right here is the calendar for the whole month of December. If you remember back from we looked at the Google site, there were a lot more assignments that were actually on the calendar, but even though I can import the calendar from Google into the learning management system, this is all that came up. It only gave the 2 projects. I tried and tried all semester to try and get them to sync correctly, but it never quite worked. The other thing to note about this calendar is the fact that it's very text-based. You have to really look and see that these 2 events, even though they're lined up right next to each other, actually occur almost 10 days apart. For someone like me who really likes visual representation of information, this is really difficult for me to interpret. Unlike the Google site where you could change and go from the agenda to the calendar view, this is the only option to view the calendar in here. This specifically is one of the reasons why I chose to keep my Google site, because I don't like the way that the calendar looks. Next, I want to take a look at what the homework bulletins look like in the learning management system. If you remember back to the Google site, it opened up to a whole page bulletin with a description given there, and I could include links, and I could post the resources at the bottom of the page so that the students can download the files right there. However, if you look here, for some reason, the bulletins open in this half of the page long column, and I cannot attach any documents. I'm really limited in formatting, so I can't do much besides make things bold or italicized to show emphasis, and this just really isn't a very visually accessible format to produce assignments for my students. This is another specific reason why I chose to stay with the Google site, because I like the way that the resources looked better. Also, as you can see here, this is another screenshot from the Google site. I have a video embedded right in this other homework post, whereas with the bulletins, that was the only way that I could deliver information to my class in like a news format like that, and I had no ability to embed videos or attach files at the bottom. I could include resources in an entirely separate file cabinet, or I could upload them and put them into a library, but I had no way to put all of the information that related to one project together. It had to all be separate. Despite the limitations of the learning management system, the one feature that I started using this past semester is the message boards. The all-online project I was doing before was accessed all online, but the students were still typing their responses and handing them in to me. This past semester, I started using the message board function in the learning management system and shifted the discussion so it was between the students themselves rather than between just them and I. This really increased the quality of thought that the students put into their papers and took a project to the new level. At this point, I have not integrated a discussion board into my Google site, but I have started researching ways to do this. I am using Google Sites to create a web-based learning system for another class this semester, and figuring out the exact logistics by the end of the semester are my goal. At this point, though, I know that it is possible to create a discussion board using Google Groups and embed it right into the Google site. However, I am not 100% sure that it will allow me to create pseudonyms for the students, or if I will have to log in using their Google Apps name, which is their real name. I need to look more into this, both into the capabilities of the program, as well as the legal concerns of students being required to attach their name to something on the internet. It seems that the final consideration when it comes to utilizing an open format for my class website always comes down to balancing privacy with the benefits of open education resources. Unfortunately, there is no easy answer to some of these questions. Do I want to sacrifice interactivity for accessibility, or is there an alternative? This is a decision every teacher has to make based on their own educational goals, the system provided to them by the school, and their individual teaching context. For me, for right now, I will be sticking with Google Sites and exploring how I can integrate the Google Groups discussion without creating privacy problems. But who knows? Things are always changing.